Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 2000s, The Way of the Gun. Before we get started, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's, you could follow Corey at Corey_idol. And if you want to follow the show, you could follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. And let's get into the cast of characters for 2000's The Way of the Gun. This film stars Ryan Phillippe as Mr. Parker, Benicio Del Toro as Harold Longbaugh, Juliette Lewis as Robin, James Caan as Joe Sarno, Dylan Kussman as Dr. Alan Painter, Nicky Katt as Obecks, and Taye Diggs as Jeffers.
I think it's fairly fitting that Juliette Lewis is one of the few characters that didn't have a full name, because this movie does not like women.
No.
Or from what I ascertained from the first 15 minutes of this movie,
gay people?
The LGBTQ community.
Yes. Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it was kind of a shock to the system in that first 10 minutes of this film, like when they go to the sperm bank and whatever. I just don't remember. I remember this movie vaguely. I remember lots of gunplay. I remember Juliette Lewis being pregnant. But I don't remember a lot of the, we'll just call it the language usage at the beginning of this film.
Yeah, here's why it throws me off. Because I'm depending on who your character is and what your character is about, they're going to say some coarse language from time to time.
Yeah.
And the less they're trying to demonstrate how whatever apathetic they are, they'll be even worse.
You were right.
It's not like Parker in this movie, Ryan Phillippe's character, is like, I hate gay people. It's literally just in this little scene, and then it never comes back. The only reason you put scenes like this in is, we loop it around and come back to it later. And it never loops around and comes back, so it seems completely pointless. The only reason this scene is even in here is because while they're at the sperm bank and the sperm donation place is where they find out about Juliette Lewis's situation.
Right.
But you don't need any of that. It's just that it was, we'll just call it an odd choice for the writer, the director, that just everybody involved. But
right. And
it just didn't make sense.
This isn't even one of those times, and I'll drop it after this. This isn't even one of those times where you can be like, it was the times, you know how it goes. Because the guy interviewing Ryan Phillippe, when he goes off on this fucking hate-filled diatribe, is clearly very uncomfortable with his use of the word.
Yes.
So even the writer knew Ryan Phillippe saying that word was going to make somebody else uncomfortable. Yeah. So again, what are you demonstrating in your character through this fucking monologue that is going to help us in any way through the rest of this movie, other than to demonstrate he's kind of an asshole right from the jump? He's not anybody I want to root for. And since I'm on it, I have never seen this movie. And there's one reason I haven't seen the majority of Ryan Phillippe movies, and it's Ryan Phillippe's fucking voice. Oh my God, dude. Seriously, he's like this weird in-between of bass from Boys to Men and fucking Steve Urkel. Pick a fucking lane, asshole, and stick in that.
It was like it was meant to be.
It just doesn't, it does not do it for me.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into this. We'll skip over that scene when we get to it, because we've already discussed it for 10 minutes, but this movie, and the movie even opens weird, setting up the characters. So the movie opens at the aptly named dive bar, where Parker and Longbaugh are leaning against a car, setting off the alarm, and they get into it with the owner of the vehicle and his girlfriend, played by Sarah Silverman, whose name in the credits is literally Raving Bitch. That's the credit in the movie she got.
She's got a big mouth, but she's not kidding.
Not big fans of women.
No, not at all.
However, I will say this. I loved this scene so much. I laughed my ass off. And here's why. I once dated this lady who would every now and again run her fucking mouth when she got fucking drunk. And she'd run it to gigantic fucking men who she perceived had wronged her in some imaginary way. And guess who had to deal with said gigantor fucking man when they've turned around and realized, oh, I can't hit a woman because most guys are never going to hit a woman for mouthing off. What they're going to do is beat the shit out of the boyfriend. So this, I applauded.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, ladies. Uncle Corey here. If you are going to rap fuck your man and run your fucking mouth, be like Sarah Silverman and take the punch. You might have to step in and get hit in the face, but you know what's not going to happen? You're not going to run your fucking mouth ever again and get your boyfriend in a situation where he is getting punched in the face.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of sets up these guys, like this whole opening scene sets up these two. They're pieces of shit. I mean, that's the basis for this whole movie. They're criminals, they're pieces of shit, yada, yada. So, she runs her mouth. Parker just decks her. And then the whole crowd that is now gathered around is now kicking the shit out of them.
Yes.
And then we get into like the opening credits of this film. So it was a decent lead-in.
Yes, it was.
If they could have figured out what they actually wanted to do with this, it could have been a phenomenal movie. And my guess is it probably was when everybody signed on to shoot it. And through rewrites and reshoots and blah, 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 it just got convoluted and fucking weird.
And that's a great point with movies like these, because, and we don't talk about that enough. And I know it's like, hey, jokes, but like a lot of these movies that you watch that you're like, man, it didn't really know what it wanted. There's a lot of reshoots and rewrites, and you know what I mean? Like a lot. Think about the cast in this. I mean, they're all bangers. Like all the actors and actresses in this are like big stars. And they're not all signing on to a dog shit film. Unless they all happen to be under the same contract where like they're contractually obligated to do this one offshoot film. I'm assuming it had to be the rewrites, because this had the makings of being a really good movie.
Yes.
So, but we get into the movie about these two pieces of shit, Longbaugh and Parker, and they're at the sperm donation facility. And while they're there, they overhear a telephone conversation detailing $1 million payment to a surrogate mother for having a baby for Al Chittick, who's like this Texas oil billionaire kind of guy. And
he wants to have a son desperately because his blood is about to go bad.
His blood's about to go bad. And him and Rick are about to fight zombies here in a few years. So he needs a baby to raise on his farm. So
that's right.
So They go to this pregnancy clinic to, kidnap Robin, and the kidnapping turns into a shootout with her bodyguards, and Parker and Longbaugh leave with Robin because she doesn't know what she wants to, like, Taye Diggs puts her in the elevator, says, go to the top floor, wait for me. Like, she's obviously not comfortable with the situation she's in, but like after she gets kidnapped, because it doesn't really seem like a kidnapping, she's just at the front door and he's like, come with me. And she's like, cool, I just need to get away from these motherfuckers. And then she's kidnapped and she's like, I need to get away from you guys. Like, Though her whole like motivation throughout this whole movie is so weird.
Yeah, I think she was probably the character that got rewritten the most, because she is all over the place, and they try and do these twists and turns. She's got 3 plot twists in her character arc, and I think Juliette Lewis legitimately has probably 15 minutes of screen time in this entire movie.
I know. They wrote her as fucking Sybil.
Can't do that. You can't have 3 plot twists in fucking 15 minutes. That's stupid as fuck.
Yes.
Period.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I would be remiss if I didn't offer this, given my expertise in combat and kidnapping and ambushes.
Corey's life lessons.
Hi, soldiers of fortune and kidnappers, etc. Uncle Corey here. It seems very tactical what Phillippe and Del Toro are doing here with like the move, and then one guy runs and then he covers him, and move, and then the other guy runs.
Yeah.
That's cool in certain situations. But in this close proximity, it would take Taye Diggs or the other guy like 3, okay, let's be honest, 2 of those move before one guy is getting shot. The guy facing me with the gun pointed at me is getting shot, while the guy running and has his back to me has to fully turn around to catch me. Yeah. This isn't even a thing.
No,
don't
it's not.
ever do this. This is shit you do with like a sniper. You don't do this kind of shit with a fucking guy 20 feet away from you. What are you, fucking insane?
This is shit you do in a Bugs Bunny cartoon. This isn't shit you do in a fucking movie.
What's up, Doc?
In a movie like this, with so much action that comes up, this is really the only thing where you're just kind of like,
it was
don't
weird.
Do that.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah. Like it played as comedy for a second, and then I was like, oh no, they think they're being tactical AF right now. And they are not.
Well,
at all.
This is how I explain this away. Okay? Because later on in the movie, Del Toro and Joe Sarno, James Caan, have this conversation over coffee. Mm-hmm. And he asks him, who's the brains, behind the operation? And he literally says, there are no brains in this operation. So like, it almost explains away a lot of their nonsense that they're like, I think this is what we're supposed to do as criminals. Like,
which again is funny and plays well as a comedy.
Yes.
But also at the end, and I know I'm skipping way forward, but at the end, you guys turn into Butch and Sundance.
Yeah.
But like with fucking SEAL training. You know what I mean? Like, you go the fuck off on a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily balance out, in their journey doesn't make them any more tactical than they already were.
You were right.
So after this, they've now kidnapped Robin. They're in the truck. They lose Obecks and Jeffers, and Obecks and Jeffers get arrested, and you have Parker and Longbaugh who ditched the truck, and now they got a van. Mm-hmm. And Robin is having some issues with her pregnancy, so Parker calls her doctor when they stop at a truck stop, and the doctor shows up to examine her.
Again, I'd be remiss if I didn't feel like I wasn't helping out some of my criminal brethren. Where to start here? I don't know. Kidnappers.
Corey's life lessons.
You don't have to treat the kidnappee like shit. Especially when they are a fucking willowy pregnant woman. Yeah. The fuck are you doing? Like, everybody is dragging Juliette Lewis by her hair. They're not feeding her.
They're not giving her water.
It takes you to call a doctor to realize she's dehydrated. She's fucking pregnant, a-hole. You knew that, and that's why you're kidnapping her.
Yes.
Again, you might be a brainless operation, but even you, as, I don't know, a basic human being, have needed to drink some fucking water from time to time. That's basic.
Well, and even to the point.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, no, it really is. And even to the point where after the doctor comes, Ryan Phillippe is eating a sandwich in the back of the van, and she was like, yo, can I have half your sandwich? And he was like, I mean, like, I was gonna fucking eat it, but I guess here you go, pregnant ass. Like, it just, can you get 2 sandwiches? Like, I know you're broke ass bitches, but like, can you buy?
Right.
That sandwich was at a gas station. It was a fucking $1. Let's face facts. Even with inflation, it's still $1.50. Like, just get her a bottle of water and a sandwich. Is that so much to ask?
And I guess this is really what I don't understand. Like, typically in these movies, or really in any kind of duo kind of movie, right? It's almost like Bert and Ernie. You have one guy who's a little bit crazy, call him Riggs, and then you have a guy who's a little more grounded, and I'm too old for this shit. We'll call that guy Murtaugh. I don't know where I come up with this shit, guys. It just falls out of my mouth. But that is your typical formula, is a Riggs and Murtaugh type relationship. They can be best friends the whole way through. They don't have to be adversaries at all. You can mix it all up, but that is typically how you write these duo kind of films.
Yeah.
So with that, why the fuck do you have 2 wild assholes? It doesn't work. One of them has to be, and it's like Benicio Del Toro comes the closest, and that's simply because he's like, hey, I'm going to call the doctor, and then I'm going to have a conversation with the bag man, and we're not going to shoot each other, although I was about to fucking shoot him in the back, which, by the way, was a good idea. Yeah. There's just a whole lot of things here where it's like, you guys are both the same person.
Yes.
You brought up plot twists and things earlier, and this is where we get to, there's like 6 plot twists in this little 5-minute clip. So the doctor's done examining her. The doctor then goes back to Chittick, and we find out that Dr. Painter is Chittick's son. We also see his relationship with his dad and his stepmother. Obviously, you know, he doesn't like his stepmother.
You're not my real mom, Karen.
I'm not going to call you mom. So, and I'm not going to call you mom because you're 2 years younger than me. So we also see that like Taye Diggs is banging her as she eats a face full of shrimp. Okay. I got a quick don't do that. Don't do that. It's not good for you. Hi, players. If you're, you know, you're a bodyguard to some like rich oil Texas man and you're banging his wife. Cool. Do you know, do what you got to do. You know, maybe you got a plan to steal his money, and then you and the hottie go take off and whatever. First of all, we'll knock this off. This bitch crazy. We'll just say that. But 2, you're like, hey, what's going on, babe? Yeah, we're gonna get all this shit. We're gonna, you know, get out of here. It's gonna be me and you. And she's like, num num num. Do you know what shrimp smells like? It doesn't have the best smell. It's fucking fantastic. But if somebody's got a mouthful of shrimp, they're like making out, they're on the thing, and he's like all up on her. Don't do that. Let her finish her goddamn snack or her meal or whatever this is. And then like go brush your teeth, and because your face smells like fucking shrimp. I'm not down with that. That's just gross. Don't do any of that.
Yeah, no. Actually, this is more in line with how that scene would play out. Now, we don't have any I can't make you smell my breath on here. So what I'm going to do though, we'll do a visual thing, okay? So we'll act this out where you'll be Taye Diggs and I'll be Mrs. Shrimp Eater.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
It's really gotten me excited.
Hey, babe. It's not going to be too much longer, and we're going to be together. But we can't let anybody know what's going on here.
Jeffers, don't worry. I've realized something in the fact that I'm going to be a mom. Maybe not a real one, but you know, a mom. And then you and I, we could have our own kid.
Dope. Let's make out.
You just bring me back my baby.
Basically, yeah, that's what that would look like visually if somebody was just smashing fucking shrimp into their face and trying to be sexy time with you. Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
And I'm sexy as fuck. Like, I'm the sexiest one any of you 1,300 people know of. So.
Oh, but from here, we then get the scene where Longbaugh calls and demands $15 million for the ransom. And then he hangs up. Sarno comes out from the shadows and offers to pay him $1 million if they surrender Robin and walk away. Longbaugh declines the offer. We also get cutaways here to Chittick's conversation with his son. And some bullshit happened in Baltimore. And
so I was able to suss this out through the power of listening and deductive reasoning. And it certainly sounds like he did the gravest of errors that forced him to leave Baltimore.
Yes.
And in this woman hating of a fucking script, it was, I think he gave someone a schmishmortion.
I think so too.
It really sounds like he gave someone a schmishmortion and they rushed him out of Baltimore like this was the fucking Handmaid's Tale.
So I'm right there. I'm right there with you.
We have one scene that literally celebrates the F word.
Yes.
And not fuck.
Yes.
But joyfully and gleefully shouts it to the rooftops like they're praising Jesus, says the F word. And then we have the schmishmortion plot twist, which is somebody gave a dame a schmishmortion in the 1920s and got cheesed up, see?
She got all hemmed up, see? So she went to the doctor and he gave her an illegal schmishmortion.
Because after what happened in Baltimore, you were for sale.
He apparently went to Texas and took money from his dad and had to change his name and whatever the fuck else. So
his original name was Thelma. She survived the jump off the Grand Canyon. And then she just became an ugly redheaded male obstetrician.
Obecks here, one of the bodyguards, then comes up with a plan with Jeffers that they kill everyone involved, get the baby back to Chittick, and keep the $15 million. And it's a super awesome plan that, like, he's just like, and then we just kill everybody, but we keep the baby, and then we get the baby. Like, Chittick's not gonna go, everybody's dead. Where's my fucking money? But whatever.
Well, this is also where we lean just a little bit more into schmishmortion territory because they constantly say, my only priority is the life of the baby. Robin, as a human being, has ceased to exist. She is now a carrier of life and nothing more. You're a fucking pod to be discarded. Even your placenta will have more use than you as a human being.
Oh, they aim their guns at the baby whenever there's a standoff. They're like, well, we'll murder this fucking baby. Like, fuck you, Rob. We don't even care if you live or die. Like, but if this is going down, the baby needs to... I don't understand the importance of this whole situation. There are surrogates out there that will just, like, have a baby. I don't understand the whole thing. But whatever, neither here nor there. Another plot twist. Everything's cool. But after laying out the plans to get Robin back, Jeffers and Obecks realize that Robin is Sarno's daughter. Dun, dun, dun. And Jeffers, Obecks, and Dr. Painter leave to meet Longbaugh and Parker, while Sarno leaves separately with the $15 million ransom. And the funniest part about him leaving with the $15 million ransom is they got him in like fucking hockey bags and they're just just tossing it into a pickup truck, all willy-nilly stacked on top of each other. If that truck goes over so much as a speed bump, There's like $7 million just off on the fucking side of the road.
You were right.
For people who are kidnapping people and planning a kidnapping and asking for ransom, and people who are paying ransom, like, it almost seems like nobody knows what the fuck they're doing here. And
no, I don't think anybody does.
And the rich guy,
Period.
the rich guy literally has people on his payroll that are professionals. I mean, Jesus Christ. Joe Sarno used to be he was in The Godfather. He would know a couple of things.
Yeah, how to get lit up at a fucking toll booth. How to walk right into an ambush, you fucking disgraziato.
What are you doing? Speaking Italian.
So we cut to the motel. Parker's having second thoughts about the kidnapping. He talks to Longbaugh outside the motel room about it. Robin then takes this opportunity because, nobody's watching the kidnap victim person here. And she grabs their shotgun, barricades herself in the motel room, calls the cops after almost shooting Parker through the fucking door. They hear the sirens coming of the cops. They bolt, and Robin goes out to the parking lot. The cops pull up, and then Jeffers, Obecks, and Painter are close behind. And they pull in incredibly aggressively into this fucking motel parking lot. Like, they're drifting into the lot.
Yeah, they're Tokyo drifting right into the lot.
And there's a standoff in this movie every 7 minutes. Like,
when they ran out of dialogue, they went, fuck it, standoff.
Standoff. So
with who? Doesn't matter. Standoff.
So you have the Mexican cops, you have the bodyguards with the doctor and Robin in the middle. Everybody like, you come with us. No, you come with us. And then there's this standoff, and Longbaugh and Parker are up in a hill somewhere, like, I don't know, a couple hundred yards away. And now all of a sudden they're like expert marksmen, and Longbaugh is just fucking picking people off from the top of this fucking mountain. So everybody scatters. Jeffers grabs Painter and Robin, throws them into his car, and drives off, and he leaves everyone, including his like injured partner, behind.
Yeah, poor Robin this whole time's got to do the fucking pee-pee dance with people shooting at her. And it's again, what are you doing to Robin?
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, in like, for what, 3 more scenes? This fucking kid's going to be born in a brothel. Like,
yes,
that is literally Charles Manson.
Yep.
And he didn't grow up with all the violence happening in the womb. Like, this kid's going to grow up fucked up. Like Joseph Mengele fucked up.
Absolutely.
And he's got dual citizenship between U.S. and Mexico, which is going to scare the shit out of a lot of people.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. He won't be able to work in Florida, that's for sure. So
he's going to be a redheaded Mexican. Everybody's going to think he's a Mormon.
Parker and Longbaugh here torture Obecks because he gets left behind to get Robin's location. Jeffers takes Robin to this Mexican brothel, forces Painter to perform a C-section to get the baby as Robin has complications. Robin also confesses here that the baby is Dr. Painter's, and during this operation, Parker and Longbaugh get to the brothel, they look for Robin, and this ends up in another shootout where Parker gets shot in the leg. Jeffers then holds a gun to Painter's head, but then Painter magically grabs this guy pulls a gun out of his like little doctor's bag every 3 minutes in this movie.
There was one scene earlier.
Like, ha! I got a gun.
Hell yes.
This is literally Chekhov's gun here, where there's one scene earlier where Painter fumbles around in his doctor's bag trying to get the gun out, and they catch him, and that's how he gets like the cut over his eye, because they were like, don't mess with guns, Buster. So they whack him. And now he magically, after one time and one whack to his eyebrow, while his hands are covered in his fucking girlfriend's tummy, trying to pull out his fucking child.
Yes.
He's like, hang on a second. Jean-Claude Van Damme. To a professional hitman. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
You were right.
Now, I will say this, for all the shootouts and standoffs and yada yada, guns and bah, bang bang. There, like, this Taye Diggs' death here is pretty dope. Because, like, he takes the gun, shoots him, and he hits him right in the throat. And he just goes into the corner, like, this motherfucker wants to say something, but he can't say shit. And it's just like, it's just coming out of his neck. It's such a good death for like an action movie and guns and whatnot. This is a good death.
Yes, it is. And this upcoming is my favorite.
Oh,
my
yes.
favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I know typically you like to intro these new scenes, but I feel like I really have to do this because it ties in so well.
Be my guest. Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you are getting into some shit and 3 to 4 guys and old men in windbreakers and slacks show up, just give up. It's over. You've lost. People are taking it seriously. You fucked around. And now you found out, because old men in fucking members-only jackets and slacks have shown up, and they are going to fuck you up. Period.
I'm so happy you recognize this. I was like, all these bitches are wearing members-only jackets.
How long have we been friends, dude? How could I not recognize this?
I was like, why did 6 dudes that look like my dad showed up? And just like everybody's wearing a members only jacket, all different shades, all different hues of brown. And like,
you want you money? Come and get it, you money.
So Sarno shows up here with his like band of geriatric brothers that, and they're all bagmen. They got the 15 million ransom and they stack it up in the courtyard. Parker wants to kidnap Robin again, but Longbaugh says that she's had enough, and they head downstairs for the $15 million, knowing that this is just bait for them to go out. And basically, they're going to Butch and Sundance it and get fucking murdered at the end of this thing.
Yes. And this is my favorite shootout at the end of this movie. I was super into it. This was the first time in this movie I could not take my eyes off of the screen. This was shot very well.
It really, really was. It was shot really well. My favorite part of this whole thing is, so, you know, they're bang bang and they're hiding behind shit. Just everything's just getting shot to hell. And Ryan Phillippe goes and makes a run for the money.
Oh.
And he dives over the edge of the fountain and he just lands in just broken glass and bottles and shit. It's so brutal. Because he turns over and he's just got shards of glass just sticking out of his arm.
Dude, when he's pulling that, when he sees it, and he's like, like, I don't know if they were trying to play it real or comical, but it played real as fuck. Because
it did.
I watched him through this whole shootout. He gets shot in the shoulder. He gets shot in both his fucking legs by the end of this thing. And I think he gets shot at least once in the chest or the back.
Yeah.
And through all of that, him jumping into glass and having glass in his forearm is what fucked me up.
100%. I'm right there with you.
Oh, I felt that.
And
he acted this. I wish he had a different voice because I felt that shit.
No, his voice obviously doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you, but his acting job in that particular scene. And again, so real, because if you're pulling out, like, I would have that that initial reaction where it's like he's going to throw up trying to pull this huge shard of glass out of his arm. It was great.
You were right.
Yeah, my only problem with this shootout is I almost expected Taye Diggs to like get back up at the end and be like, "Hey guys, I'm okay too." Like everybody lives.
Yes.
This is basically Scream 6. Everyone lives. Happy ending.
Well,
no issues.
Everyone lives except for Parker and Longbaugh, because at the end, you know, they're both shot. They're in the middle of the thing. Yeah. Parker and Robin come out from the brothel. You have Sarno smoking a cigarette or getting ready to smoke a cigarette in his members only jacket because he thinks he's fucking dope as fuck. And he finds out that, you know, it's his grandson. Painter's the dad, because the dying Parker and Longbaugh have this like really weird, like, hey, family's family kind of dialogue here at the end.
That's kind of what I mean by like the everybody lives. Like they're like Benicio Del Toro's like, no, worth it. And then Ryan Phillippe out of nowhere hasn't moved an inch in like 4 minutes, flips himself over, can't use any of his limbs. So he fucking flips himself over and he's like, hey man, family's family, am I right?
You can tell somebody's family just by looking at them.
At the 40-minute mark in this movie, we already knew that was the granddad. We already knew that was her dad.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. But this movie ends as Robin and the baby are taken away in the ambulance with Painter. Sarno takes the $15 million. He leaves. And then Parker and Longbaugh are just there to bleed out in this Mexican brothel courtyard. And we then cut away to Chittick's wife telling him that she's pregnant. And just as an FYI, part 2 is how Chittick deals with his wife having a black baby named Jeffers.
His name is Jeffers II, and he does not look like his stepfather. Did you notice, too, when they were cleaning up their mess and James Caan is walking away and there's like one guy in the background putting Juliette Lewis into the ambulance, and then the other paramedics are just like running and grabbing the money bags and zipping them up?
So
they don't work for you, Jimmy Caan. They're going to take that money.
Well, and I think they do. This is the only reason I think they work for him, is because he doesn't call them on a cell phone. Like, they get into the shootout. The two are like dying and bleeding out. And he gets on a walkie-talkie and he's like, all right, you can come up now. Like, if he was calling an ambulance, that would have been a cell phone call.
Well, look, dude, I know you probably haven't been involved in quite as many kidnapping and shootout situations as I have.
True.
But you always have an ambo on standby with a walkie in range. You can't depend on cell service. That's ridiculous. You have to have walkie-talkie range.
Yeah.
And you always have them standing by. Because at the end of the day, it's good,
stupid.
Clean fun. You don't want anybody to get hurt. And if they do, get them out of there. Quick. They don't need to be on the field of battle anymore.
I'm just stupid. I don't think things through. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's pretty dumb of you.
At the end of the day, so I saw this, it was probably a Blockbuster rental, to be honest.
I think it had to be for everyone.
I do remember somebody that I worked with back then recommended it to me. They were like, action and yada yada. And I saw it, and at the time I liked it for the action, for the shootouts, you know, yada yada. Obviously that first 10 minutes does not hold up. And I think we said it multiple times throughout this. This had the opportunity to be such a good movie, and it just doesn't stand up, and it's just too all over the place, man. Like,
yeah, there are so many different scenarios that could make a movie like this go awry. The director could have had zero control on set.
Yeah.
The actors could have just started adding their own dialogue and their own plot lines because they thought it was neat or interesting, and there was nobody to stick up for the writer. The writer could have just been bullshit out of his mind, blotto on fucking drugs, and just
that's a thing.
Verbal diarrhea all over his typewriter.
Yeah.
The studio could have gotten involved. I mean, there's a million things because, I mean, you can't not agree with what you said. There's nothing wrong with liking this movie.
No, not at all.
But also, it missed a lot of opportunities, and it is oddly preachy.
Is it possible this story is true?
Not over the top, not in your face, nothing like that. But there's definitely some things that are said where you're just like, well, I know that's a phrase used by people that I very strongly disagree with. So
yeah, I noticed that too. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't like in your face. It was offhanded comments too. It wasn't like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. For me, I liked this 23 years ago. I like it less now. But if somebody likes it and enjoys this movie, and again, the only reason you would enjoy this movie is you really don't have to pay attention to it. It's literally just action for action's sake, guns for guns' sake, and you get to the end and there's a good shootout at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the Benicio Del Toro is basically playing his same character from Sicario with just a little more personality.
Yeah.
Ryan Phillippe is playing your typical hard charging, trying to be a dipshit, but somehow cannot pull it off.
Yeah.
Like he was the most unbelievable character in the movie. I thought Jimmy Caan did a good job. Juliette Lewis always does a good job, even though they barely made her a human in this. Taye Diggs is Taye Diggs. He pretty much plays Taye Diggs regardless.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean, overall, I can see why somebody likes it. I can see why, people would be interested in it. I'm not probably going to watch it again. Unless if I ran across this on TV at the end shootout, I would watch it.
Yeah.
But that is literally it.
I'll agree with that. I wouldn't sit and wait for it. It has to be like in the middle of the shootout. Like,
oh yeah.
No,
and this might be in like my top 15, top 20 shootouts of all time. This end shootout.
Yeah.
It's really, really that good.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And as far as like, I probably won't watch this again. I haven't watched it since I watched it originally in probably 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it'll probably be another 20 or so years before I revisit this one. If I do again, but that's all I got. You got anything else for this one?
No, man, I'm good.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 2000's Way of the Gun.